Weaving Wisdom would like to present South Africa's first ever Birthing Wisdom webinar. Meet me, Karin Steyn, and my colleague Louine van Vyver, and together we will weave the wisdom of a positive birth experience, collected from our experts and brought to you right here in the comfort of your home.
Today we will be talking to Dr. Jana Mostert. She is a homeopath with 13 years experience in private practice. She obtained a master's degree in homeopathy at the Durban University of Technology. And since 2012, Jana has acted as an expert health guide for the readers of Baba and Kleter magazine. She answers their questions in print relating to maternal health during pregnancy, as well as infant and toddler health. Jana uses a wide variety of modalities to treat patients, including homeopathy, herbal medicine, Chinese medicine, and nutrition. She is dedicated to providing the best possible care for her patients. First of all, can you tell us what is homeopathy? Is it really effective, and is it safe to use during pregnancy?
Well, homeopathy is a modality, a natural health modality that was developed about more than 200 years ago by a German doctor called Samuel Hahnemann. He was disillusioned with medicine at that time, and he looked into another way to treat people more gently because the medicines, especially at that time, were quite harsh. He came up with the modality of homeopathy, where highly diluted remedies are used to treat illnesses. It is also applied according to the laws of like cures like. So, for example, coffee that in most healthy people would cause people to be super awake and not be able to sleep. In somebody who's actually suffering from insomnia, coffee, a remedy, highly diluted remedy made from coffee, actually helps with sleeping. So there's the like is like law of similars. And then homeopathy is super effective in specifically pregnancy because it is so safe. There are no side effects. It cannot harm the baby. It cannot cause any deformities in the baby, it also cannot cause any side effects in the mother. So for that reason, homeopathy is one of the best modalities to use specifically in pregnancy and in early childhood.
So it sounds like homeopathic remedies are better to use in pregnancy than over-the-counter medicine.
Yes, I would say homeopathic remedies it's a great modality to even have at home. There are a lot of kits that people can buy, and it's a fantastic thing to have at home to give to the baby or for the mother to use dose. But even homeopathic over-the-counter remedies, it's sometimes a little bit better to go to a homeopath directly if you're really struggling. Specifically because the homeopath would work out remedies that are suited to your specific condition. Because 2 people or 5 people actually with the same illness, for example, a cold, will probably not get the same remedies from their homeopath because their expression is different. The way that they feel when they are sick is different. So over-the-counter remedies are great, but if they don't work, definitely go and see your homeopath.
Okay, now you were talking about colds now, and traditionally, a pregnant mom is advised not to take any medication during she can help it. But is there something that one can use that is effective and common for something like a cold and a flu without having any side effects?
There are actually various remedies that could help. And once again, it would be best to see the homeopath directly. But in case that is not possible, there is a remedy called oxylococcinum, which is quite a mouthful, which is available all over the world, made by Boiron, for example, that mothers can take weekly during the pregnancy in flu or cold season to not get sick. They can also take, if they do feel any symptoms of the illness coming on, they can take that about every hour or so for a couple of doses. So that works quite well. And then there are definitely over-the-counter cold and flu remedies that you would find all over. They normally contain remedies like Merksol, which is great for glandular drainage, and they contain remedies like Apis, which is great for swelling, and Natmur, which is great for a runny nose. So there are definitely combinations that are that work in 90% of cases.
Okay. What are other common ailments during pregnancy that can easily and successfully be treated with homeopathy?
Okay. We see a lot of mothers with nausea and vomiting because that's one of the biggest symptoms of early pregnancy that most women actually struggle with. I would say up to about 80% of women do experience some form of nausea or vomiting. And a lot of the anti-nausea medications that people normally take when they are feeling nauseous are contraindicated in pregnancy. So we actually see a lot of people in my practice who are slightly dehydrated, very weak from vomiting a lot, and homeopathic remedies work extremely well for nausea and vomiting. So the remedies that that pregnant women can look at would be remedies like Ipecac, which is good for any kind of vomiting and nausea. Nux vomica is another remedy which is very good for liver problems and combined with nausea and vomiting. And let me just think. There's also another one called colchicum, which is specifically good for if the nausea and vomiting has got a little bit of a gallbladder involvement, if there's any gallbladder issues. But most women feel a lot better if they just take Ipecac, the first one that I mentioned. Okay. So that's the nausea, sorry. Then if you look at swelling of the feet, swelling of the feet is normally is vastly improved by taking a remedy called Apis. A lot of women can also find a lot of benefit from homeopathy if they suffer from depression or anxiety. That during pregnancy or after pregnancy are two also very common things that women find homeopathy works quite well for. And then obviously digestive issues like heartburn and constipation, that's also quite common in pregnancy, and homeopathy also works quite well for that. Okay. To name but a few, there's a few more.
Are there any homeopathic remedies that one can use to aid with inducing labor?
There are. There's a remedy called calophyllum, which is made from a flower called glucohosh, which is quite a common remedy given by midwives in the weeks leading up to birth. Calophyllum often makes sure that the birth comes on time, that the baby doesn't wait too long. And also if calophyllum is taken daily for the first for about 2 weeks before the birth is due, then the birth normally progresses quite nicely and easily. So calophyllum is quite a big one. There's also a remedy called pulsatilla, which I find helps if the mother specifically is quite emotional and birth is delayed. And interestingly, pulsatilla can also sometimes help for breech presentations if given early enough, obviously, before the baby's engaged.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that. You were talking about depression during labor, during pregnancy, maybe labor, and even then postnatal depression. Is it a common presentation, and is it something that homeopathy can treat?
I think depression is quite a common thing for women to suffer with during pregnancy and definitely afterwards. Afterwards, it's much more common, postnatal depression. It is such a big life-changing event, so I think a lot of women struggle to cope with the change, and also sometimes there's a bit of lack of support. There are fantastic homeopathic remedies for depression during pregnancy and afterwards. One of the most common remedies for postnatal depression and during pregnancy is a remedy called sepia. So sepia is often, if the woman is very tired, feels really worn out, with quite a dark mood, and a little bit of irritability. I find that sepia really seems to lift things and gives a lot of energy to the pregnant lady or the new mother. But there are other remedies as well. If sepia doesn't work, I would also recommend rather see a homeopath, because there are fantastic remedies like aurum and staphysagria and a lot of them, but it's best to make sure that you take the right one in depression. Rather check with your homeopath if it doesn't work.
And homeopathy for breastfeeding. Many mums will complain that they haven't got enough milk or sufficient milk supply, or are worried even about when the milk is coming in.
Yes. For breastfeeding, there's a fantastic remedy called urtica urens, which is actually made from, it's a highly diluted form of stinging nettle. And urtica is fantastic just to stimulate the amount of breast milk that's produced quite a few times a day until breast milk normalizes. But I always do, although it's not homeopathic, I often also recommend that new mums, if they struggle with breast milk, drink fenugreek tea of the herb fenugreek, and also make sure that they get enough electrolytes in. So in South Africa, that they drink something like Rehydrate. And yeah, there's also a blackthorn berry elixir, which is a herbal thing that works quite well. But first thing I would recommend would be urtica urens and low potency. That seems to work quite well.
Okay. During labor, is there some way that you can just take the edge of that experience, that sensitivity of labor? Is there a remedy that can help?
Definitely. One of the remedies that helps for the intensity, like you say, of the labor pains is a remedy that actually is also quite useful in teething later on, once the baby is there, and in colic. It's a remedy called chamomilla. So it is generally quite a good remedy for to help numb pain, and it helps for irritability and anxiety, and specifically in labor it seems to just take the edge off. Also in labor itself, there are also remedies like arnica. Arnica that's normally given for muscle aches. Oral arnica, not actually applied to the body, is quite good for the aching and the pain that a lot of women find in their legs or in their back. So that's often quite a good remedy to take at the same time. And then there's obviously the colophilum that we spoke about earlier, that can often help the labor just to progress properly, and for labor contractions to be effective, so that the labor is not too prolonged.
Okay, so it seems there's quite a lot that a laboring woman can do to...
With homeopathy, definitely. Yeah.
And once that mum has the newborn baby, I'm sure that homeopathy can also help that little child with all sorts of niggles and problems. What do you...
Definitely. Yeah, there's in the newborn baby, one of the biggest things that people often complain about in the beginning is colic. Colic can be because of quite a lot of different causes. And it can sometimes be just the sensitivity of the developing gut, and it can be a little bit of indigestion or gassiness, or could be a bit of cramping. The remedy that I spoke about earlier, chamomilla, often helps a colicky baby calm down quite a lot, and it helps them to niggle a lot less and to be a bit less uncomfortable. But if they struggle with colic, then there's also a remedy called carbo-veg that just helps for any kind of bloating of the digestive tract. And also there's another remedy called lycopodium that also helps quite a lot with irritability. And of course, a lot of people know mag phos, which is for any kind of cramping, crampy tummies. So the combination of those remedies normally work quite well with colic in particular.
And what are constitutional remedies, and how can that help a newborn with something like cramping or stuffy nose, or yes, just to be more comfortable?
Constitutional remedies are remedies that are worked out by a homeopath, not really just according to whatever condition people are, colic, or wouldn't just look at the pain or the discomfort that the mother is experiencing during pregnancy, but she would look at the personality of the baby or the mum, and general sensitivities. For example, whether the baby or the mother is more sensitive to cold or to heat. How do their personalities differ from other people in the family? And if you look at all those symptoms that really make the person unique, rather than just the problem that they're presenting with, and you prescribe a remedy according to those symptoms that make them unique, that is what we would call a constitutional remedy. And a constitutional remedy would often just help the person be as balanced as they can possibly be, and often that helps to, if they are as balanced as they can be, then often their bodies just heal themselves. And it's great for immunity so that they don't get sick as often. Often emotionally they feel a lot better, energy is a lot better. So constitutional remedies are a great way just to strengthen the system as much as possible.
And vaccinations, that support that can help make vaccinations easier on baby?
Vaccinations, there are remedies that can reduce aggravations or symptoms experienced after vaccinations. Symptoms that can be experienced often include pain and redness at the site of the vaccination. Sometimes babies can also get a little bit feverish and upset, maybe not sleep a night or two. So there's one specific remedy called Thuya, which if given just after any vaccination, babies normally have a lot less of a reaction. Also, Thuya makes sure that there's no dip in the immune system, because sometimes babies can get a little bit of a cold, a couple of colds after vaccinations. So Thuya makes sure that is not doesn't happen. And then also there's, if they're very prone to fevers after vaccinations, there's another remedy called belladonna that really helps just to calm down the fever itself.
Okay. Now, as an alternative healthcare provider, what do you think, in your view, having worked with mothers and babies and the readership of Baba and Theatre, is a positive birth experience?
I think a positive birth experience is where the mother listens to her body, and she does whatever makes her feel the most comfortable and the most strengthened and powerful. I think and find what resonates with you and what works for you, I would say.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Jana. We appreciate having chatted to you.
From my experience, listening to what you said, it is important that mums take proactive action in taking care of their health, not just on a physical level, like we do when we've got a symptom and we go see the doctor, but equally on an emotional level, that those symptoms can also be treated. so that she can feel good and be comfortable in her body throughout this process. And it certainly seems that homeopathy offers her a safe option for optimal health throughout pregnancy, in birth, and postpartum. So thank you very much for your kind offering of wisdom.
Just a quick question. If one needs the help of a homeopath, where do you find it? Is it your body?
The easiest is in South Africa to go onto hsa.org. That stands for Homeopathic Association of South Africa. So that's hsa.org, and you would be able to find somebody in your area.
Okay. And do all homeopaths have an interest in babies and moms, pregnant moms? Will you be able to get help at your local homeopath?
I think most homeopaths are pretty well trained, in pregnancy and in baby care. So you should be able to get help. Yeah.
Okay.